The President. The Chief Executive's question and answer session. Members will please remain standing while the Chief Executive enters the chamber. The Chief Executive, please. Members, quiet, please. Order, please. The Chief Executive will first address the Council. Anybody having a point of order? Mr. Roy Kwong. Mr. President, give me dozens of seconds. Don't switch off my mic. Point of order. Carrie Lam, many people would like to criticize you severely. This is not a point of order. Take your seat immediately. If you have a point of order, please state it, please. Mr. President, keep calm. I have yet to come to my point of order. 1 million people took to the street. You ignored them. You ignored 2 million taking to the street. Point of order, your point of order. Rule 18, if you don't raise your point of order, sit down. Rule 18, bracket 4, it says that with your permission, we can read out a eulogy. So we would like to observe a minute of silence for those who have died. Well, according to the rules of procedures, I am said about people who have passed away recently. But according to our convention, only members in office or political persons of great importance to us that pass away, or people who pass away in major disasters, then we will observe a minute of silence for such persons. But then for those that you mentioned do not fall into this category, please consider having the obituary read out on other occasions. Members, if you don't keep quiet, I can only... Mr. President, members, citizens, yesterday, I already delivered Claudia Mo final warning. If you continue to shout, you will be asked to leave the chamber. Chief Executive, Mr. President, members. If members continue to refuse to sit down and continue to shout, I'm afraid we cannot continue with this sitting. We cannot continue with the Chief Executive's answering question session, which many members of the public would like to watch. Members, order, please take your seat. Mr. Ejichu, please leave the chamber. Mr. Ray Chen, please withdraw your remark. If you don't, I will regard that. Ray Chen, your conduct is grossly disorder. Please leave the chamber. Once again, I will appeal to members. The Chief Executive's question and answer session is a session that many citizens would like to ask their legislative members to ask questions on their behalf. Members, if you continue to shout, we're not able to continue. Claudia Mo, please leave the chamber immediately. I have already warned Claudia Mo. If you have, I have already warned all the members.
If you continue to shout and not sit down, you will also be regarded as showing grossly disorderly conduct. Please leave the chamber immediately, Miss Claudia Mo. Mr. Ted Hui, you please leave the chamber.
Mr. Ted Hui, please leave the chamber. The Chief Executive. Mr. President, members, citizens, yesterday I have already issued the Policy Address 2019. The circumstances did not allow me, Dr. Kiki Kwok, well, we are in deep trouble. She has to apologize. This is not a point of order. Please take your seat. Chief Executive, please continue. In the early paragraphs of my policy address, as I have said, I have already issued the text to the legislature. Yesterday afternoon, via the video link, I have already delivered the content of my third policy address to the citizens. And in fact, the text of the policy address has already been uploaded to the website of the government. Mr. Wu Chi-wai, leave the chamber. Via the media, I have also explained the main points of the policy address. I'm happy to take questions from members at this moment. Would you Wai leave the chamber? Would you Wai please leave the chamber immediately? Mr. Wu Chi-wai, please leave the chamber immediately. I will repeat once again. This question and answer session is an occasion that many citizens would like to have this opportunity to see questions being put to the chief executive. This is a constitutional duty of members. I hope you will allow this session to go on so that citizens can watch the questions put to the chief executive on the policy address, and then we can get detailed answers. What is your point of order? In the past few months, for those who have injured and died, an apology is not a point of order. If you continue, in a moment when you have your chance to ask questions, you may put this to her and ask her to give an answer. Chief Executive, I'm happy to take questions from members. Mr. Gary Chen. Mr. Jeremy Tam, please leave the chamber immediately.
Mr. Gary Chen, President, I hope our Democratic Camp colleagues can allow me 3 minutes to ask my question before you express your political stance. I know that before the policy address was released, the CS, Mr. Matthew Cheung, wrote a blog. He said that this policy address will not be the same. It will not stick to old ways. I remember yesterday when the CE delivered her policy address, she devoted a lot of coverage, and I know she spent a lot of efforts to mapping out her housing and land policy. I appreciate her efforts, but I can't see from the policy address how she is going to help the middle class, the elderly, and other classes in society, and how you can show your new style of governance. We have asked you to provide also a concessionary card for people between the age of 60 and 65. And you have not responded to all those, and that is to help the plight of those between 60 and 65. Therefore, Mr. Matthew Cheung's 3 no's do not apply to this policy address. This policy address is really very much the same. It sticks to always, and it is more or less the same as before. We'd like to know the principles of your governance, and actually many Hong Kong people would like you, Chief Executive, to respond to the disorderly situation in society in the policy address. Many people are telling us that when it comes to the weekend, on Saturdays and Sundays, there will be a lot of chaos. There will be the throwing of petrol bombs and road blockades and arson, and they dare not go out. Banks and eating establishments have been targeted for vandalism. If you just say, I am Chinese, you may be beaten up by a group of people, and you may be subject to lynch law. In the past 4 months, social order and the rule of law have been trashed. Ms. Tanya Chen, please leave the chamber. Since the CS has talked about something that will not be the same, I'd like the CE to let us know whether you can help us have shops that will be defended against vandalism, that people can have no fear if they want to go out, and that when people want to say something in society, they would be free from violence. Ms. Chief Executive, can you promise us those? CE, thank you for the question. Mr. Gary Chan. Dr. KK Kwok, please leave the chamber. Dr. KK Kwok, please leave the chamber at once. Mr. Andrew Wen, please leave the chamber at once. Mr. Andrew Wen, please leave the chamber at once. Mr. Liang Yu-chung, please leave the chamber at once. Mr. Xiu Ka-chun, please leave the chamber at once. The meeting will be suspended.